morning, everyone. This is Fax
And flannels. Just two man friends wearing flannels.
and talking about weird and wild facts. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Doug. Let's get going.
So I would like to ask you if you can just quickly summarize your ideas and what you think you know about samurai.
A samurai. Ooh.
Yeah, just like, the Japanese samurai. And like,
So what I think I know is probably not even close, but I like to, imagine that they were like those warriors, like they've got like that, it's gonna sound really uneducated, like that hat they wore, like their sword, their arm, they wore like armor that kind of came off. So, by the way, very topical, the fact that Mulan is now on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But Disney Plus is great, and they should sponsor us. Disney Plus, it's totally worth it.
Not after what I'm about to say.
And like they had, like, and I imagine they had a sword and like.
Did you watch Mulan though? I mean, that's not Japanese; it's Chinese. But did you end up watching it?
Anyway, back to Samurai. Yeah, and they were like the royal guard almost is what I imagine that they were. No? Oh God.
Okay, so what we know as samurai from the old Japanese films or from movies, TV shows, anime, all that kind of stuff, is a romanticized version of samurai. Okay, so the samurai started in like the year 700 something AD, and they were absolutely, according to my research, and if I'm wrong, anyone can leave comments below, and I'll do more research. But I'm not a historian, but I just like reading about it. Anyway, from what I've read, for the majority of the life of samurai, until they were pretty much like abolished in the 18th century, for the majority of that time, from 700 AD to like 1856, they were, or 1865, I think it was, they were nothing more than mercenaries. And when you think of a mercenary, you kind of think of like, it's a sword for hire, right? They have no moral code. There's no honor behind it. They're getting hired for a job. You do the job, you get paid. And that's what it was. That's really what the samurai were. They would get hired to kind of travel alongside noblemen and act as their servants. The Japanese word for servant is where the name samurai came from. It's derived from the word, and I forget what it is now, but it's derived from the Japanese word for servant or to serve. And which doesn't make for good Hollywood or good movies or media or anything like that. Any media outlet, I mean, The Expendables did a series of movies as mercenaries, but typically there's just, people like to have some sort of physical connection to the idea, or like a conceptual connection to a particular story. So it wasn't until 1600 where today's like modern ideas of the samurai actually started to happen. Like from 700 AD to like 1600, that whole almost 1,000 years, 900 years, there was no honor code. There was no like the katanas and the swords. They didn't mean anything to the soldier. It wasn't like a part of their actual body. They didn't like have that connection. There was no spiritual connection. People didn't look at them like, oh my goodness, you're a samurai. Like, you are the highest ranking person. You have the highest honor in our land. Like, no, that's all bullshit. And that's all made to make stories of how it used to be. They had no honor code. It was literally just pay me, I'll do what you want me to do, and that's it. They didn't, no clan, there's no ancient clan of, there's no ancient lineage of honorable samurai. There's none of that. It's literally, it was only around, that whole idea was only around for maybe 260 years or so of, samurai where they had an honor code. They did their whole life. Their life being was based off of being a samurai, and it's like people looked at the samurai then starting like 1600 because they started changing the stories of their own history. So around that time, they would say, the battle of whatever that happened in year 1128, I'm just making the year up, that battle, they would make it seem that the samurai who were literally just hired to fight, they romanticized those stories. So like they made the stories sound like there was, oh, you've heard of like the suicide ritual.
Was it Harikari or whatever?
Yeah, if they get captured, they would take their dagger and kill themselves, or it was like the highest like way of leaving the earth, kind of a thing. It's kind of just like a fictional story that later took bloom. People actually, like it became a part of the samurai way, but only after people created that story. So yeah, pretty much everything. I mean, pretty much everything that you could possibly think of and what you play in video games or watch on TV is just the fictional story of what samurai actually were.
Yeah, because that definitely, as soon as you said it, by the way, that's definitely something I would definitely had in my head. It was the honor code of the samurai. They were like a proud people, like
very proud, very like strict with their rules and things. No, they just wanted to get drunk, drink sake, and kill people. That's probably even too harsh. Just wanted to get hired, make money, and do whatever people asked them to do. They were like the local strong man. They would just get hired to ride along noblemen who were traveling between cities or going from town to town, and they needed an escort.
Which, by the way, kudos to them for like creating a story of like their own like history. Like this is who we were, and like
I mean, if you think about it, America, the United States of America is only about that old.
Yeah.
That's a long time because, if you think about now, people are like, oh yeah, like I have lineage that goes back to the colonists, and that's awesome. And that's really cool to like have that. So I'm sure for that time period, and even for Japanese people today who do have a lineage that goes back to 1600 samurai, like I'm sure that is really cool. But 900 years before that, they were literally just mercenaries. There was no story.
Yeah.
The story was created, and then it started to become the actual life of the modern day samurai.
That is actually like blowing my mind away. Getting back to the Mandela effect, like I feel like it was like I just had no idea that.
Yeah, and it's just like imagine what else that you think in your life that you think is the actual history of something, and it's really not. I would love to just focus on reading up on just some of those. Like, what else don't I know? What else do I think and have this other preconceived idea of a certain topic that's just not even true?
Yeah. Similar, I'll tell you one that I always like. So when I talk about Cleopatra, right, the ancient Egyptian queen, whatever, Cleopatra lived closer to us today than she did to the Great Pyramids.
Yeah. You know what? What's another fun one? I did know that one. Another fun one, and I love asking people this question, which it's almost to a fault because then they start to suspect like this is probably a trick question. What came first, the Aztec Empire or Oxford University?
I knew this one too. Yeah, it's Oxford.
Yeah, it was like the year 11 something. Oxford was originated in, and the Aztecs didn't come until the 14th century. So it's like 300 years in Oxford before the Aztecs, and that's just like because when you think of Aztecs, you think ancient. Or at least I do. You think of like the Mayans and just those civilizations. I call them civilizations, and it's like I wouldn't talk about Europe as a civilization. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
But that's
not at
pretty
all.
much that's it's like the Middle Ages. You know,
Yeah.
it's just two totally different things that I associate like the Middle Ages with the UK region, with Ireland and Scotland and England, and they're all fighting with knights in armor and the Knights Templar and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Aztecs who are living in the exact same time period, and it just seems so different.
And I think part of it is also not that we were like civilized, but like a knight looked so much like that armor and everything, and then you look at like what we have, like the pictures of the Aztecs of like their headdress, like the loincloth thing, like they just look so much older.
Right.
I do love that. Yeah.
All right, so we're done here for today. That'll be a good starting point. I hope people watch our videos. If you do, we are Backs and Flannels. Just
if you've got anything that we said wrong, please do comment, because I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of information everywhere, and you can try to do research on the source of your information, but you just never know what you read. So we're just telling you the things that we've done research on and some cool facts, some weird and wild stuff. If you're
As it becomes fall, we'll be wearing more flannels.
Yeah, and if you're an expert in any of these topics, please give us more information. We would love to hear them.
Yeah, we would. Thank you, everybody, and we really appreciate everything.
See you next time, Doug.
See you next time, Ryan.
Bye.